Hey everyone, it's Lisa Sweeney here from Business in Heels, and I'm so delighted today to be joined by Anthea Dimitrakopoulos. That's a
Well
real.
done.
So Anthea actually is representing the ASCOT, and the ASCOT was a winner at the Gender Equity Awards. And so today we're taking the opportunity to really pick Anthea's brains and really try and get some insights into all the great initiatives and things that they've done at the awards. So welcome, Anthea. It's lovely to have you here.
I love being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, we're going to deep dive into some exciting questions. So what inspired you to get involved in gender equity work? And how has this journey evolved over time?
Well, it continues to evolve. I don't think you ever get there. But what's really inspired me, I mean, it really stems from a combination of personal experiences, social observations, and really a deep-seated belief in the principles of justice and equality. I mean, growing up in corporate Australia, I'm a Gen X. I've witnessed instances of gender inequality, that inequality, I should say, that has left a lasting impact on me. And growing up in corporate Australia, I very rarely saw me at a leadership table. And
Mm.
so for me, it's an ability to reverse that. It's an ability to step up and put into place policies, training, uncover unconscious biases. So all the female folk coming up and currently in corporate Australia get to see me, get to see themselves at a leadership table and walk away with a real strong belief that they can do it. So that's what's inspired me to get involved. The journey is constantly evolving. The journey is all about learning, unpacking your unconscious biases, bringing allies on board, and making sure that we have really responsible workplaces, that every single person, regardless of gender, race, belief, sex, has a seat at the table. Because ultimately, Lisa, all the data that you read, whether it's from the McKinsey reports or from WGEA, the companies that have gender diversity and really see their people outperform their competitors.
Yes.
So not only is it good for people, it's great for business as well. So that's my reason why.
I love it. And I think, being representative of the community, the people that you serve, the people that stay in your hotels is so important because then you get them and
Yes.
you offer much better service. I think the unconscious bias thing's very interesting. It's one of those things that we know people need a lot of practice because it's really hard to uncover those unconscious biases. So I meant to mention to you, we're kicking off a quiz, a weekly quiz, for the next year, so that everyone can do some practice. Because I think, unless you actually challenge yourself all the time, you don't stay on top of it.
And
So
you
tell
don't
me.
know what you don't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and until someone challenges you, you don't know what you don't know. Love it.
Well, and yeah, what are your biases? Because
Yes.
it's unconscious until you suddenly go, oh, I did actually think male versus female there. Like, why did I think that? So yeah, really, it's very interesting. But you've been implementing all sorts of exciting things. So tell us a little bit of some of those actions that you're most proud of.
So I'm proud of a whole heap. Uh, I'm proud that I work for an organisation, the Ascot Limited here in Australia, that's really focused on doing good. I'm really proud of the allies that we have here as a group. We started this journey a couple of years back where we set up a committee, and it was a diverse committee of males, females, to talk about how can we improve gender equality within the group. And there was an overwhelming support. There was a lot of work that we had to do to really understand our unconscious biases and how we were holding
Mm.
each other back. And I loved our vulnerability as a group. I loved how we discussed items, and nothing was sacred. So we felt safe enough to be able to discuss and go, what do we need to implement to ensure that all of our females are seen and feel appreciated for the lives that they have, and how do we get them a seat on the table? And so out of that, we introduced a whole bunch of policies. So as an example, one of them is paid menopausal and menstrual leave. And Lisa, I'll talk a little bit about that because initially when we were talking about menstrual leave, I'll never forget everyone kind of cringing at the
Yeah,
table.
I can imagine.
And yeah, you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget going to a conference with 300 odd business owners, franchise business owners, and talking about we're going to introduce menstrual leave, and everyone kind of just went, huh? And it was like, yeah, and it was like, Lisa, well, we've all got mothers, daughters, wives, girlfriends, and we're all experiencing this, and it's about time we normalize it. And to your point earlier, Lisa, it's also normalizing it for our guests. We're a large hotel
Mm,
group. We have guests who have menstrual cycles. And so out of that, it was understanding introducing products. So providing free tampons and so forth to all of our guests. And so that was a really exciting policy that we introduced, but we also introduced menopause leave.
yeah, right.
And I love that we've done menopause leave and we're normalizing
Mhm.
that. And so there is no issues for having a hot flush and doing this in a board meeting. There's no issue in saying, I need a moment. Um, but with the menopause leave, and this is something I'm really proud of, and it goes to the root of who we are as a group, is our managing director, David Mansfield, is an absolute ally of all things gender equality. And I reckon that's one of the key ingredients of our success, having a very strong leadership team, a mixture of females and males who are very strong allies in doing right. So it was a late evening that I got a WhatsApp message, and it was to the leadership team. And David Mansfield sent this message saying, oh my God, team, I have listened to this amazing menopause podcast and want you all to hop on and have a listen when you get a moment. And I remember, Lisa, sitting there at home, and I picked up my phone, looked at this WhatsApp message, and I said, and that's why we are successful,
Mm.
because the MD is an ally, and the MD's listened to a podcast about menopause, and he's normalizing it. And I just love that. And I remember looking to my husband going, you haven't even listened to this
Yeah.
menopause podcast. You need to listen to this menopause podcast. But the other beautiful thing about that was 3 of the male leaders responded with, we've already listened to this. And I sat there and I went, how cool is that?
Mm.
Um, yeah, so very proud of that. I'm also really proud of our flexible working environment that we've got here, which enables, in particular for our females, to be seen. Uh, we see people for who they are, and it's not just work. There are mothers, there are fathers, there are carers. There's a lot of complexity to our lives.
Mm.
And I love how we allow our people to be able to have a whole life, not just a working life. And the flexibility and the working arrangements between our people and their leaders, we certainly honour that. So that makes me feel really proud in that space. I also feel very proud that we don't have a pay equity issue. So
Wow.
I know,
Well
I know,
done.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. And I keep harping on about it. We've got no pay equity. Can we check? Can we double check? Let's double check. Let's make sure that no one's snuck in and there's an error here. So I love
That's
when that
amazing.
becomes, yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? That regardless of who you are, where you are, your pay is not based on your gender, which when I was growing up in corporate Australia, it was always based on that. Um,
Yeah.
so,
I
so,
think the
so a lot,
national average is still 13%. So there's a lot of companies that are not at zero, that's for sure.
yeah. So there's a lot of work that they need to do in that space to bring it up. But I'm really proud that we don't have that. Um, and our parental leave policy. So This is another biggie for us as well. We offer 24 weeks paid of parental leave. And whether it's welcoming your child or whether it's welcoming a child via adoption, surrogacy, I can't say that word, surrogacy, or fostering. And when we set up our committee, initially we had that just for our females. And I'll never forget sitting there and quite a few folks said, no, it needs to be parental. And I was like, of course it does, because we
Mm,
honour and respect the fathers. And so
mm,
we quickly changed that to be the parental leave policy for 24 weeks. And what I love about that is the first person who took that policy up was actually one of our male analysts who had twins. And I love that he was able to do that.
mm,
His wife was able to take leave, go back to work, and then he was able to take the leave and now look after the twins, which is absolutely fantastic.
mm,
But Lisa, the other thing that we added to that, and it was very deliberate, we do a lot of work with Housing All Australians, and we also know that the biggest cohort of homelessness in Australia, it's kind of like the silent pandemic at the moment, is
mm,
women who are homeless over the age of
mm.
50. And so one of the decisions we made with our paid parental leave was also to add in paid superannuation, because we knew that a lot
Mm,
of women who end up being homeless are the ones who've spent a fair bit of time looking after children and not getting superannuation and or different
mm.
circumstances. So we made a decision that if you work for us here at Ascot Australia, not only will you get your paid parental leave, but also paid superannuation. And so that was deliberate for us as a group as well, which
Oh,
is really
that's
nice.
yeah, it's fabulous. And I mean, for those of you who aren't aware, the gap at superannuation is still sitting at about 45% because of all these reasons why when people don't get super at various points. And yeah, so the super gap money in total, it actually dropped in the last half. Amusingly, though, because a whole lot of men actually started spending their super, and not because women got anything more. So
Oh, isn't that
it's
interesting?
yeah, so it's decisions and that you're making that will make a huge difference going forward.
And it's an easy thing to implement, if I can say that to corporate Australia or for anyone's listening.
Mm,
Add it to your paid parental leave. You're solving a problem. I mean, you won't reap the benefits today, but it's a problem that's going to be solved for your employees when they're 55 plus and life changes.
mm,
And what a fantastic gift that is to your employees. Um, and I'll say this, Lisa, I know I'm jumping in and around here, but all these all large companies' goals really is about serving the customer, right? Serve
mm,
the customer, get more customers. It's become super profitable and amazing companies that we are. But when you unpack that goal, if you look after your employees,
yeah,
because your employees are the folk who look after your customers, if you spend the time understanding the needs of your employees and funnel your money and your energy there, you will solve your customer and your profitability issue. And
mm,
so it makes sense to have paid superannuation through paternity leave. It makes sense to create an environment where your female employees feel seen and are able to continue to work and to continue to serve your customers. So I highly recommend it.
mm. Well, you've touched on our next question anyway, which is, what advice would you give to others who are passionate about advancing gender equity but don't really know where to start? So there's two good tips there. Just roll out super and paid parental leave.
I love that. Just roll it out. Just do it.
Just do it.
I
We'll do
love it.
the
Just do it.
90 version of it.
Yes,
Just do
yes,
it.
just do it. But and it sounds easy now for me once we've implemented it, just do it. But I think the first advice I would give is bring everybody along for the journey. Um, and it's not just your females. You have to have allies. You
Mm,
have to bring people along, which means you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations. And a lot of people will hold opinions that you don't hold, but it's important that you unpack unconscious biases without
Mm,
judgment.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know, it's that wonderful story. I don't want to win the battle. I want to win the war. It's not the battle. It's the war. We fundamentally want to see more people having a seat at the table that are really diverse and are diverse thinkers. That's really the goal here, right? The more diverse people and diverse thinking we have at the table, the better we will be as a group. And so to be able to get there, look at your leadership team and you need to ensure your managing director, your CEO, whoever it is that you're working with, your HR department, you've all got buy-in. But that buy-in isn't a smooth road because it's bumpy because there's different opinions, there's different thoughts. So engage with WGEA, engage with a whole bunch of agencies, do the training, get people on board who are experts, get people who've implemented things that you haven't, get them to come and chat to your group and walk you through different ways of doing things. And once you get your allies, in my opinion, it becomes easier. I mean, nothing hard is ever easy. It always looks easy at the end when you win the awards, right?
Mm,
But to get us to this point, there was a lot of work that was done, and our diversity committee that was made up of a mixture of diverse people and thinking, male, females, trans, a whole bunch of different
mm,
folk, so that we could get to this point. But of course, it meant that the leadership team needed complete and utter buy-in. And there were moments, Lisa, where we had very different views.
I
Were
bet.
moments when I would talk about menopause and do this and everyone would cringe. I talk about menopause now and do this and no one cringes. I do this now and everyone goes, "Oh, do you want me to change the air conditioning?" Yes, please. Um, so it's allowing yourself grace that
Mm,
you're on a journey. Allow the grace, allow the different opinions, appreciate that it's easy for me to say just do superannuation, but there's a cost. And someone's
yeah.
got to do the cost analysis and go, can we afford it? And if we hadn't budgeted for this year, well, then let's make sure we budget it for next year. Let's have that conversation. Let's not lose the war here. We understand that we've got to do things in a piecemeal approach. Let's go make it happen. That's my advice.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the fact I can imagine, right, the room and all the people trying to, with everyone's diverse opinions, I think patience, and just trying to I mean, do you have any advice for people when they've got all those diverse opinions in the room about how to make sure everyone feels heard?
Yeah, I do. It's not easy because sometimes when you hear some people's opinions, you want to go, huh? Where did that come from? Um, but I think you've got to know what your end in mind is. Good old Stephen Covey, right? And so if the end in mind is that we want diverse thinking at the table, that means you've got to give people the grace to have their opinions. And there's
Mm,
no judgment. Your role is not to make people right or wrong. And
mm,
so it's your ability to listen to those opinions and allow that person to be seen, and then to be able to unpack that and understand how that opinion is impacting our ability to have diverse thinking on the table.
mm,
So the advice I give, no judgment.
yeah.
Um, just no judgment, and allow that person to be seen because that person has that view for a variety of reasons and whatever they've gone through in their life. Yeah.
Mm,
And change is threatening. This is very threatening for certain people. It's threatening to have diverse thinking at the table because we always like to see ourselves at the table. Like, if there was all of me at the table, that's wrong as well, Lisa, because you don't
yeah.
want all of me at the table. And that's not the scope here. The scope is for us to broaden our thinking. So, the no judgment, work on yourself with the no judgment, allow different opinions, unpack those opinions, bring in different experts, create an education and safe environment.
Mm,
I'll never forget a session that we did with Pride Diversity, and we had the leadership team in, and we asked all those questions about he, her, she, him, they, and we felt safe. and we could ask all those questions without judgment.
Mm.
So it's creating that environment. It's doing all the training, Lisa, that your organisation provides, and so forth.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, when you're first starting, there would be a lot of judgment in the room and there would be a lot of people trying to get their opinions heard. So just being able to amalgamate that, some really great advice in there, Anthea. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate you sharing that. We will also be having a bit more of a deep dive into this at the Winners Breakfast that we're going to hold on the 20th of March at Crown. So if you're interested in learning more about what the best organisations and individuals are doing, we are going to have a bit more of a deep dive into it. So exciting times. I think ultimately, with all the changes coming in gender equity this year, there's a huge opportunity for us to make some, accelerated changes and things. So it is exciting times. So what are your thoughts about the future? Do you think it's rosy, and will we see massive change in our lifetime?
Everything's telling us we're not.
I know.
I know. All the data is pointing to no. But for me, I appreciate all the data points to the no, but what I see it as our ability to make change. So who's listening, whoever's going to come to this amazing breakfast, right, to hear what the world-class companies are doing, I feel we can create our own change. Just create one piece of change. So for me, I feel very optimistic and rosy because I know that at Ascot Limited Australia, we're committed to making change. So for me, it's onwards and upwards. There'll be a lot more change, a lot more new exciting policies that we'll introduce. I know we're going to head off to do our citation. Looking forward to working with Regia, to learning more. Looking forward to the breakfast. I can't wait to hear what the panel is going to talk about of what they're implementing. So I'm going to steal those ideas and implement
Yes,
those.
exactly.
I am, Lisa. I can't wait to hear it, the breakfast, right? So for me, I feel very optimistic and rosy because we can create our own change. And so, if there's one company out there that introduces paid superannuation to paid parental leave, well, you've introduced change. And I think that's fantastic for those women folk. I think it's wonderful.
Exactly. And I think, the good thing about this is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's so many great companies doing so many things, and just, steal the ideas and adapt them for your company. And that might be the next exciting innovation that, we see for the next year. So anyway, thank you so much, Anthea, for coming along, sharing so much of your great experience. The Ascot sounds like an amazing place to work, and you must be so proud of the fact that you're at Xero. It's really, really impressive. So thank you very much.
Lisa, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. And thank you for all the amazing work that you do. Absolutely love it. Thank you.
Thank you.